Could the Golden State Warriors lose Draymond Green, a focal point in their dynasty that's helped lead them to 6 NBA Finals appearances over the last 8 years and 4 NBA championships during that span? That's what we're talking about on today's show. This is NBA Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Senior. Thank you so much for tuning into the program. So this coming from a report on The Athletic that Draymond Green wants a 4-year max contract, but Golden State has, quote, no plans on offering him that deal. So we'll set the foundation from that reporting from Marcus Thompson as well as Anthony Slater, two very well-respected NBA reporters and guys who have a pulse on this franchise. So Draymond, he's eligible to receive that max deal starting on August 3rd, but as of to this point, there has been no traction on these current contract talks. And the Warriors right now are in a quandary financially. They can't pay everybody. And as evidenced by the list that we're about to break down coming up around the corner, there are a lot of key players on this franchise that are reigning NBA champions who just had such a successful season who are set to cash in. As for Draymond's deal, here's where it stands right now. Base salary this upcoming year, just shy of $26 million. The year after that, he is under contract, but it is a player option. So there's a lack of future financial commitment to Draymond Green and financial security. For one of the best defensive players that we've seen in this generation, it's a nice little cash in at $27.5 million. But again, there's a lack of that future financial security. He is eligible for a max contract that would pay him 4 years, $138+ million over the next 5, including this year. If you were to sign that contract extension starting in early August, he'd be on the hook for 5 years, $164 million. I've never been good at math, but I wanted to relay all of the financial figures to you. More from The Athletic on Draymond and Golden State being a part in these contract negotiations. All indications are that the Warriors have no plans to offer Green a max extension, and there isn't any current traction on any type of extension right now. The typical pattern of this Golden State front office is to extend with 1 year remaining. Even Steph Curry waited until 1 year remained before signing his max extension last offseason. Green has 2 years remaining on the max deal that he signed back in 2019. While he could opt out a year earlier, the Warriors' current preference is to talk extension with Green next summer and not this summer when he is once again contract eligible. We're only getting started on today's show. So much juicy stuff to get to. You don't want to miss any of it. But first, I want to hear from you. Put your GM hat on. What should Bob Myers do leading basketball operations for the reigning champions? I want you to give me a dollar sign for pay Draymond Green, B for a potential breakup, chime in and sound off. Other players who are going to want to get paid by the Warriors, it includes Andrew Wiggins, who was a great two-way threat for this team en route to another title and proved to be in the NBA Finals the second best player for the Warriors behind Steph Curry. He was that good, playing great lockdown defense on Jason Tatum. He had Tatum running in circles offensively, mentally. Jordan Poole burst onto the scene last year and had a marvelous offensive campaign for the Dubs. And when Steph Curry was out, whether it be on the bench in the playoffs or throughout the regular season, Poole looked to be one of the best young ascending bucket getters in the NBA. And then there's Klay Thompson. Like Draymond Green, he's been a part of this core that's led the Warriors franchise on an unbelievable run that has spanned over the last decade. Somebody asked me inside the Chat Sports studios earlier, is this Warriors run a dynasty? Hell yeah, it is. When you win 4 titles and you've been to 6 NBA Finals over the course of 8 years, it's one of the most successful runs that we have ever seen. Let's now go player for player. Wiggins, Poole, Klay, and then we'll circle back to Draymond and what the Warriors should do and some of the things that they're going to be thinking about and talking about within this front office. We begin with Andrew Wiggins as part of this conversation. Wiggins, the most likely to receive an extension according to The Athletic. 1 year left, $33.5 million, and a 20% pay raise, boy, that would be nice, would put that max deal around $40 million annually. Here's the deal, though, with Wiggins and him continuing on as a Golden State Warriors. The Dubs could increase his pay 20% and give him that deal with that average annual value of about $40 million, but other teams could swoop in, see the two-way impact and value, and pay more, causing Andrew Wiggins to leave for more money. Now we shift gears to Jordan Poole. October 18th, the big date to look out for here. That's when the rookie extension deadline is. Warriors, according to The Athletic, once again, expected to discuss a new deal with Poole before that. He's a restricted free agent next offseason, and the Warriors do have flexibility as to when they want to pay Poole. Early this year. If they wait, though, they save money in the current moment, but if he goes on to have yet another really impressive season, they might have to offer him a max contract. That's part of the financial quandary that this organization is in. Financial figures, fascinating ones coming up just around the corner because they literally cannot pay everybody. As for what Poole did in the playoffs, he certainly inserted his impact. He looked to be a very good offensive player, 17 points per game, 51% from the field, 39% from downtown, 92% from the charity stripe. And the big looming question with the Poole party, how much is that deal going to be worth if he signs it now or if he signs it in the future? Right now, I think you can stack him up with Anthony Simons, who just received a 4-year, $100 million contract from the Portland Trailblazers. Similar players, same position, fulfilling a similar need on their respective rosters. $25 million per year for Anthony Simons is about the going rate of a player of Jordan Poole's caliber. But again, if he has an even better season this year as compared to last year, yeah, tick, 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 that number's certainly going to go up. Where does Klay Thompson kind of lie in this financial equation? He, too, under team control, and there's not really a rush to get this deal done, but that is something that the Warriors are going to have to plan for if they want him around this organization. More from Slater and Marcus Thompson. 2 years, $83.8 million guaranteed on the Klay Thompson contract. He is the least likely to get an extension this offseason. Also probably the most content with that. There is no word of Thompson clamoring for a contract extension, unlike some of the other players that we've talked about on this list today. He's committed to taking advantage of his first healthy offseason since the summer of 2018 and getting even better and closer to the player that he was before consecutive season-ending injuries. We're going to get to that Draymond Green aspect of this and his value to this organization, and we're going to pose the question of whether or not to pay him. But first, if you had to pay one among this quadsum, who would you pay? DG for Draymond Green, AW for Andrew Wiggins, KT for Klay Thompson, JP for Jordan Poole. Fascinated to see where you're at on that question. Now, here at Chat Sports, we continue to expand our footprint. We continue to grow to the platforms that you use. That includes Rumble. And on Rumble, as you can see by the numbers to my right, we've been able to grow these platforms in a really respectable and fast way. Warriors today leading the charge with almost 4,000 followers. NBA Now right behind them at 3,400. And the Lakers Report at nearly 2,800 followers. Give us a follow today on NBA Now, Warriors Today, as well as the Lakers Report, and support us there on Rumble as we continue to expand here at Chat Sports. Earlier, I alluded to these insane dollar figures and financial numbers if the Warriors wanted to pay everybody. And honestly, it doesn't look as though it's possible. So let's break it down and go back to math class. Let's do an exercise and get ambitious with it, The Athletic stated, ensuring that everyone feels well compensated for 2023-2024. You give Wiggins an extension that starts around $33 million that he's currently making. You give Poole an extension that starts around $27 million. You bump Green, who has a player option, into his decline and extend max of just shy of $31 million with that starting salary, and Thompson is already making $43+ million that season. That zooms the total payroll for 2023-2024 towards $222 million. The projected tax line, $161 million. The Warriors, as we know, willing to pay their players, but their enemy is a collective bargaining agreement and its luxury tax rules. The Warriors are living in the more punitive repeater tax. Crunch the numbers, and you're talking about a total bill, salary plus tax, of around $564 million. That is half a bill for those of you keeping score at home. And look, $564 million in any business, in any industry, is astronomical. And yes, the Warriors are one of the most valuable franchises in the world. If Joe Lacob were to sell Golden State today, they would go for a few $1 billion at the very least, considering the previous success that they've had and the future value that they have, and the fact that this roster is stocked. It's loaded for the present and the future, but my goodness, holy cow, that's a lot of money. And at some point, you have to make a tough business decision as to who you have to cut from the payroll, who you have to extend, who you have to move on from, because this is a business at the end of the day, and winning is what matters. And if you sign a player to a prohibitive contract, they will keep you from winning. So this is where the conversation kind of takes a turn. Is Draymond Green the player that you move on from? There are plenty of pluses with Draymond, and that's been the case since he was stolen in the second round of the NBA draft by the Warriors. There are also negatives, which we'll get to. The pluses first. He's one of the best defenders that we've ever seen. He is critical to the culture and the toughness and the championship pedigree of this Warriors organization. His particular role has been unique. It has been paramount. His role as the enforcer, leader, his basketball IQ being extraordinarily high, him being a dog, all of those traits really valuable, and you can't replace what he brings to the locker room, what he brings to the organization, and what he brings to the floor. The negatives, though, he's 32 years old. He's not getting any younger. He's a declining offensive player. At times, he is an offensive liability. Early in the NBA Finals, we were talking about Steve Kerr maybe making a decision if he had to bench Draymond Green. And at one point, coming down the stretch run in one of those finals games, he had to swallow the pill, swallow his pride, and he had to bench Draymond because he was that bad. And how does he continue to age on a max deal? And if you were to sign him to a max contract, and if he were to get injured, not age well, that would be prohibitive for what the Warriors want to do moving forward. His last 4 years, you look at the value here. He has plenty of it. His all-around, well-rounded game is just critical to the Warriors' success. He truly is a very unique player, and his impact, his fingerprints are all over games, whether it be in the regular season or the playoffs. 7.5 points per game, 7+ rebounds, 7 dimes, a steal and a half per game, and nearly a block per night. You can't understate the value of Draymond Green. And my final take on this subject matter, Draymond is one of one from a personality standpoint and his versatility. He's an all-timer. We'll never see a player quite like Draymond Green again, and losing him would be an all-time massive blow. You're losing a key ingredient to your dynastic run, but he might have to be the odd man out from a basketball perspective, because while it hurts to lose a player of Draymond Green's caliber, you might have to move on just given the financial position that the Warriors are in. Either way, won't be an easy decision. But with that, I ask you this. If you were to grade Draymond's value as a player, how would you grade him right now from 1 to 100? 100, obviously that's really positive. 1, really, really negative. Let me know right now in the comment section, and thanks for watching today's show.